food choices at a drive-thru can reflect their identity and preferences, just as the characters' actions and decisions reflect their identities and desire for belonging.
Yes.
I don't
So
think.
you like tacos. You like tacos. You have ambition for the throne. I see it.
I've never thought of that. Like, your order reflects your identity and preferences. Like, is that, I think there might be some, like, truth to that.
Well, let me ask you something. Do you order the same thing at Jack in the Box every
it's like from like I have like 3 things I go for, and I kind of just like rotate through them. Like I go there a lot. Recently I've been going there a lot just because they have really good salads. So I've been on a big salad kick lately. So their Southwest salad is pretty good. And then I also get today. Okay, I've been getting the bacon biscuit. What is it? The bacon. It's like the bacon, egg, and cheese biscuit breakfast thing, and they got rid of that today. They got rid of it today. They didn't have it today.
Just for logistics' sake, or whatever. We should say that was not a sponsor. That was not a sponsor ad for Jack in the Box. However, if Jack in the Box you'd like to, throw a little something our way, then we're open to it. Come on.
Guys, it's not too late. It's not too late to turn this into a fast food podcast.
Where we have something to eat every time. We have a little snack or something.
Oh yeah, mukbang!
Let me just talk for a few minutes to the audience about what's going on here. First of all, this is Game of Thrones noobs. We're going to be watching all of Game of Thrones. I don't know how long this podcast is going to run for, but we're hoping to watch all of Game of Thrones at some point. This is probably going to take years. I'd imagine we're going to get through a few episodes, take a break for a few weeks, and then probably watch another show for a few, because I do want to watch X-Men. But anyway, I've never seen Game of Thrones. You guys are going to introduce yourself in a second, but I'm Davecavedraws. You might know me from Instagram. Probably most of you here are here from Instagram because I'm probably going to advertise this. You probably know me for drawing half-naked anime women. We're not doing that here, unfortunately. This is I don't know, maybe in the thumbnail. Maybe I'll do some thumbnail art. But anyway, we're gonna be talking about Game of Thrones episode by episode. We're gonna start with our general impressions. We're gonna talk about stuff that released around the time the episode came out. There wasn't a lot for this episode. And then we're going to do a full walkthrough of the scene for scene breakdown of the episode. So spoilers. There's going to be spoilers. That goes without saying.
I don't know. I'm Kit. Hello. I have nothing else to say.
What have you done creatively? Because you're kind of an artist. Why don't you guys, say your name and then any creative stuff that you do? Because I'm sure it's
why don't we tell them how we all met? We all met because we were caricature artists at Legoland.
Oh yeah, true. I always forget that's the connection.
Kind of a little interesting tidbit. We all drew characters for a number of years at Legoland. We weren't all working at the same time, but that's our connection to each other. So I think all three of us have an art background of varying levels of mastery. I have the lowest level of mastery.
Whatever.
Jojo.
Okay, I am Jojo the Mountain Beard on Instagram. I'm just gonna throw that out there. It's not like I use Instagram all that much these days.
Go follow these. Go follow them. Yeah. Don't unfollow me and follow them.
No, definitely. Just follow all of us. But I that's where I post most of my art related things. Creatively, I don't know. I've had my hat in so many arenas. Done caricature. Done a bit of the work with David on Meat Canyon. Did some third party stuff. I probably shouldn't mention that was animated related, which was fun, just like character cleanup and what else did I do? Prop design. And then most recently I started getting into theater-based stuff and musicals and expanding my creative skill set into acting and putting a story together on stage, which, funny enough, feels related to all the things I've been practicing.
That's a way better introduction. Oh my god, Jojo.
And you also have painted
excellent.
some of the like the backdrops for your
Yes.
stuff, right? That's
Yes, that was fun. Yeah, a lot of that came in handy whenever we were working on the Meat Canyon stuff and just like staging and telling a story through the environment. Like, it's so much fun to actually like put a big giant stroke of paint down on, this giant surface. It's very satisfying.
I guess I didn't really like say my art stuff. I don't think I need to. I don't know. People know me as Davecavedraws on Instagram. I work for Meat Canyon. I do backgrounds. I've done a lot of stuff for him, but mostly backgrounds. I've worked for Nickelodeon, and I did a little small, tiny thing for Disney. And they're both like live action shows. They're both terrible, but I worked on them.
Oh no!
I liked Warped.
I still every once in a while watch an episode of Warped, and I'm not the demographic at all, but it's like, I worked on it. I don't know if it's like a feel good.
Yeah, no, I get that.
The Disney one's even worse though, because like I barely worked on it, but I worked on I designed a vending machine and all of the products in it. So every time they walk past the vending machine, I'm like, oh, there it is. Yay!
That's cool.
And
that's really cool.
Okay, that was our intro. Intro's done. What were your guys
killing this podcast?
What were your guys' first impression? Yeah, by the way, I should say we're not good at podcasts. We're new.
No, we sound like pros. I think we sound like pros.
It's probably going to take like a few episodes for us to really get the hang. I want to get to the point where I show up and I'm like, I like don't want to be here, I feel like that's when we'll get our best episodes.
No!
I'm like, hey guys, all right, let's fucking do this. Let's all right, Realm Report. What do we do? Like seriously though, I feel like those will be our best episodes when we're like, I'm no longer like excited for this. All right. But okay, what were your guys' first impressions of this episode without spoiling much? Because we're gonna go through the episode. But like, how'd you guys feel?
Wait,
about
hold on.
this?
Before we continue, specify what our backgrounds with Game of Thrones. Yeah, our respective backgrounds are.
I'll go first. I've seen the first season, but it's been a while. I don't remember. Like, okay, watching this episode, I think I remembered like one thing from it, and it was like a vague like image I had in my head, and that's pretty much it. I don't remember much of the first season. I remember liking it, but I'm pretty much a noob, and yeah.
And we're gonna make do we want to make a point of not spoiling anything for you as the show goes on, not making references to how the show develops?
Yeah, you guys should not spoil it for me. Let's try not to like, yeah. By the way, speaking of that, like I spoil stuff for myself all the time. I'm fine with that. But as long as it's me that does it, you know what I mean? If someone else just spoils something for me, like that sucks. But all the time, I'll watch like movie reviews with spoilers before seeing the movie, and that's a thing I do. But I still would rather not have someone else just flat out spoil something for me.
I have a little bit of a sentimental background, Game of Thrones. I was first introduced to it by my friend Nate, who was my best friend for many years, and he lost his battle to.
Oh no!
Very sad. So when I think of Game of Thrones, I think of Nate. He showed me the first season. This was very early on. I think I watched about 5 episodes of it. He was a big fan. It didn't really click for me at the time, and I didn't follow through with it. I decided to watch the entirety of Game of Thrones. And I gotta tell you guys, with the utmost of respect to Nate, I think he picked, if he had to go, he picked a good time. Because it was before the show ended.
Shout out Nate. Rest in peace, Nate.
Nate, yes. R.I.P.
Yes. And now his watch... Is that... okay, never mind.
Nope. Yeah?
Nothing.
Okay.
I was going to make a reference to it that they make in the show, but... I didn't know if it was proper. I was just going to say, and now his watch has ended.
Okay, like the Night Watch, right?
I
know about the Night Watch. That's about it. I don't know if that's what you were referencing, but anyway.
Yeah.
If you're worried about me, don't be.
All right.
You would love it.
All right, JoJo. Let's make it brief.
Okay.
Let's make it brief.
Yeah. I started the show when it first came out, and I was hooked, and I had watched it ever since then, and it's just been a big inspiration as far as, like, I love fantasy-based stuff like Lord of the Rings, and so it was just right up my wheelhouse. So I've watched it ever since.
Yeah, I kind of had a similar experience as like Kit in that, like, I didn't really connect with me back in the day because all my friends were bros. They still are, but they were always just like, dude, it's like Lord of the Rings but with like boobs and blood and shit. And I was like, that's not the best. I mean, I guess that's cool, but I don't know. I was like, that sounds super douchey. So for the longest time, I just kind of stayed away from it. Not on purpose. I don't know. I just like didn't really check it out. But I'll say I did like this episode. It's the first episode. This was like the syllabus of episodes, right? They're kind of just like introducing all the characters and then like setting up like all of their plot lines, basically.
Yes.
Like, is he gonna date her or not? We'll find out. Like, I don't know. So there's a lot of stuff like that, but I still found it pretty. I'm hooked, like the hook worked. So, but I did have some problems with this episode that we'll go through later. How did you guys feel about it?
Solid thumbs up.
Solid thumbs up as well. It's weird because I now watch it for like I digest it differently. I think the first time was just very driven by, I don't know, whatever is set off in your head that's like, ooh, endorphins or whatever. And then the next time it was like story. And now I'm kind of like trying to take apart the cinematography of it and the little nuanced aspects of how they put it together.
There was there's one specific cinematography thing that I'm sure you noticed and we'll get to in the walkthrough, but I've started to notice more cinematography things because of you. Yay. I was like, JoJo will probably pick up on this. And if you don't, I'll make fun of you. No, I'm just kidding.
Well, let's find out. That'll be fascinating.
Is there anything else? I was going to say something and then I forgot, so... All right, let's move on to our realm report. All right, this is a segment we're gonna do quickly where we just kind of like talk about. I'll just list off a few things like newsworthy events, movie releases, video game releases that happened around the time this episode came out. Okay, so this episode came out on April 17th, 2011. It was pretty close to the Fukushima nuclear disaster in Japan. So March 11th, the Fukushima Daiichi nuclear disaster triggered by a tsunami. So that happened. Everyone, I'm sure you've all have heard about that. Pretty sad. Let's see. Movies that came out around that time. Rio, an animated film.
Okay.
Scream 4, which who cares? And
I just watched that.
What did you like it?
I am a little iffy on the Scream series, but yeah, that's a whole nother discussion.
For sure.
We'll save.
All right, and then Fast 5, the fifth Fast and the Furious movie came out, starring Vin Diesel, Paul Walker, Dwayne The Rock Johnson. Haven't seen it. And then video games, nothing too crazy. Portal 2, I guess, would be the most significant one that came out around that time, April 19th. I've never played it, but cool. A lot of people cite it as like one of the best games ever made or something. Mortal Kombat 9. I haven't played Mortal Kombat since like Mortal Kombat Trilogy on the PlayStation 1, so... And then also SOCOM 4, U.S. Navy SEALs. I remember a lot of people in art school were really into that game. But I still had PS2, and I was still playing Final Fantasy X, which I still play today, actually.
Nice.
I'm still living in the past. And that's it. That was pretty much it. Not a lot of... I guess some of those might be significant to some people, but those all seem kind of lame to me. Sorry.
I like the Portal reference. That was good. It was also April 17th. I remember that week because it was my birth week. And then I was like, oh, I think I'll get HBO to treat myself. And so I did that, and that's how I got in. It was like a birthday treat to me. Game of Thrones was a birthday treat. Oh. Yay!
Oh.
Do you know what else was a birthday treat? Water for Elephants, a romantic drama based on the novel starring Christoph Waltz and Reese Witherspoon.
Oh, wow.
I read that novel.
What?
I did not care for it.
Did you see the movie that came out on April 22nd?
No.
Okay.
No, I never saw the movie.
I don't think anybody did. I've never heard of that movie.
My high school music teacher saw it.
All right, the 5 people who are watching this, comment if you've seen or heard of the movie Water for Elephants. And was it good? It looks like it has a lot of A-listers in it, so...
I love Christoph Waltz.
Yeah.
Phenomenal actor.
And also Robert Pattinson. I think that was the Twilight era of his acting career. All right, okay, that concludes the Realm Report. All right, let's go through into the episode walkthrough. I don't have a good name for this segment yet. We could just call it the walkthrough. I don't know. Beyond the Wall. But that doesn't really...
Oh, yeah, something like that.
I mean, that doesn't really... Does that say, like, walk through the... I don't know. Does it... I don't know. Council of the episode. Throne Room Reflections. I got these all from ChatGPT.
Oh, no.
So I'll go through, like, a few scenes, and then I'll stop, so we can, like, discuss if you guys need to. Uninterrupted. I don't know, if you have something to say, I guess, just try to do it quickly. And then I'll stop after a few of these scenes, and then we can talk a bit longer. Alright. Season 1, Episode 1, Winter is Coming. We start out with 3 dudes on horses enter a slowly opening gate. It's snowing out. They ride down a very long tunnel, and they go out the other end. They're on the other side of like a huge white wall, which I've seen pictures and illustrations of. I didn't know they introduced that this early. They split up in the woods. One of the guys, he's like a doofy looking guy. He gets off his horse and military crawls towards like a camp, where he's like maybe some bandits are. I don't know what they're looking for at this point in the episode, but maybe there's like some people by this like camp. But when he like goes over the hill, he sees a bunch of people like cut up into pieces, and then there's like a girl impaled on a tree right behind him. I don't know how he didn't see it while he was like crawling, but it's like right next to him. I have issues with this scene that I'll get into in a second, but he gets scared and then he like runs away. Basically, he reports back to his other 2 fellow riders. He tells them what he saw, and apparently, like this group of people he saw dead were people they were trying to find. I think they're known as the Wildlings, which immediately made me think of the Younglings from like Star Wars Episode 3. But 2 of the guys...
because of the child.
Yeah, they were just doing everything they could to avoid saying he killed children. He killed younglings. I get it. It makes sense, but also it's like youngling. So the two guys are spooked and they want to go back to the wall, and the leader of them is like, he's like weirdly like unfazed about it. He's like, you guys suck, like let's just he's kind of being a dick. But he does want to know, he wants to know what killed them. So the three of them go back to the camp where the doofy guy saw all the cut up people, and then like no one's there. There's no evidence of anyone having ever been there. There's no like footprints. It's all just like clean snow, no blood, but the smoking campfire is still there. So
yeah,
eventually one of the guys, not the leader, the bearded guy, finds like some guts in the snow, and then like a zombie thing pops up behind the leader guy, and like we hear him scream. The doofy guy is like wandering off. I don't know where he's going, like, but he walked away for some reason. I don't know. But he hears a scream, he starts running, and eventually, like, he sees the girl that he saw impaled on the tree before, and she's, like, walking around and, like, fine now. And, like, a whole running bit happens. They're being chased by these, like, zombie-looking things. He eventually, like, runs back. He runs and sees his other companion guy. I don't know what to call these guys. And then like one of the zombie things cuts off the dude's head and throws it at the doofy guy, and that's the cold open. It's literally cold open.
Yeah, we don't even.
Oh, it is cold.
Yeah, we don't even get like oh yeah, really. We don't even get the nice intro, which happens right after that, right?
Yeah,
it's
we
like
do get the opening credit, like the cool music and stuff that everybody knows.
Yeah, some things to note in that scene were like the dialogue between the main guy and then the doofy looking guy. There was a note of desertion, like, you know, the doofy looking guy wanted to clearly run away, and the guy was leading them was like, no, you'll be caught and then executed. So there was a big point of that being made as a setup. And then we get this nice visual of the ground with the symbol of the dead bodies. Like, the dead bodies are not just staggered. When he sees them, they're actually making this design, which kind of is like bizarre and everything. And when he's finally running away, we get that silhouetted shot of the creature, and he's got the blue eyes. And then he turns and sees the little girl, and she has like these stark blue eyes as well, as a trait, I guess, to note that these characters have. It is stark, right? Yeah.
Does the symbol that their bodies are forming, is that, I'm guessing that, do we like run into that symbol later? I'm guessing you can say it. This is not like a spoiler.
I don't know.
There are multiple symbols that are used by the White Walkers or the creatures.
Right.
But I don't know that we see this one over again. I mean, I don't know.
Okay, so this is why
I don't think we.
Sorry, go ahead.
Go on. Oh, I was gonna say I don't know that we've made this clear from our intro, but I would consider JoJo to be resident Game of Thrones expert amongst us. I've only seen the show once in one very brief binge.
That's very kind.
Yeah. So we're both kind of the noob. So the noob title holds up a little bit.
Yeah.
It's really possible to watch a show and forget most of it, I think. So
it's true. It's true. I think I should make it clear. That's very kind, Kit, but I think it should make it clear for the people listening that I have no outside knowledge of like the books or anything. I'm strictly the TV show oriented. That's where my passion for it comes from. But I have like watched it multiple times, and now I've gotten to the point where I'm trying to understand what is happening with the shots and the framing, and even the aspects of their camera and the directorial eye that happens, the filmatic elements that occur. So, for instance, this first episode, this first season, they actually shot it with a camera called the Ari Alexa camera, which was a prototype at the time, a very beginner-based digital camera. And that actually gave them components of a cinematic feel. And as we go through and experience the other seasons, the cameras change digitally, and you get a sense that it's more not necessarily televised, television-based, but you can tell that there's this shift from the cinematic dynamics that they have with the lighting, the staging, the overall production from the first season into the next seasons. That things change a lot, and so I had a few notes on the specifics of like the cameras and stuff, but I don't know, that's might be a little too trite or a little too dry.
If you can do your, I mean, if you can like summarize it all in like 2 sentences, I think you just did though. I think you just did.
Yeah, that's pretty much it.
Maybe sprinkle it in throughout, so it's not all like lumped into one.
Yeah. You know. Okay, I can do that.
Okay. Okay. So I like the scene, but then I started to think about it. I just want to say, before I say this, I liked this episode and most of the stuff in it. But once you start to think about what happened in this opening scene, it's kind of like, what are these zombies, like the most theatrical zombies like of all time? Like they had to they basically like put on a show for this one guy, like hoping that he would find their dead bodies. And then he didn't.
So I don't think
he didn't see the symbol. There's no way he saw the symbol that the bodies were forming. So they didn't need to do that. And then they somehow expertly cleaned it all up. Like there were no footprints. There were no footprints.
I don't. You are right. There were.
Yeah, you can see them with brooms sweeping the snow as they're walking away.
If they were gonna kill them anyway, then why do any of that? Just kill them. Yeah, I don't. So it's definitely like it's just one of those things. It's like obviously for the viewer, but it's like, who is this for? Like, did they sit around and plan? Like, all right, these 3 guys are coming. We think they're gonna be here at some point today, so we're gonna chop each other up. I guess can they like reassemble, or did they kill the? Did they kill? I don't even know. Were the White Walkers the ones that were dead there, or was that the encampment of the wildlings? Also, what are wildlings? I guess we'll find out. I guess we'll find out.
Yeah, these are all like questions for the future episodes, I think.
But the theatrics though, that's something. Are they continually theatrical like that, where they just like set up these weird set pieces? Okay, I'm down for that. I don't know. It's just like, it's just one of those things that's like, I don't just kill them. I don't know. All right, let's continue.
As the show continues, not just this podcast episode, as we watch the rest of the seasons, what I would like is for us to sort ourselves into whatever respective house or clan we identify with the most. And I will say, so far, Team White Walker.
Oh my god.
I'm all about the drama.
I'm definitely Team Lannister. Because they have Megan Fox.
I can see that.
Megan Fox. No, I'm just kidding. We'll get to that in a second. All right, so
can we change based on the episode? Like,
yes.
Because, okay. All right. So yeah, I guess this episode I would definitely be Team Stark.
For sure. I think I'm always going to
No, sorry. I'm Team Baratheon. I changed it. I'm sorry. Team Baratheon.
All
right. Still standing.
King Robert all the way.
Okay, let's continue. Doofy guy somehow manages to survive. Like, he escaped the White Walkers. I'm assuming they just let him go. He runs down a grassy hill and is surrounded by a bunch of horseback riders we later find out, from Winterfell. And that's it. They basically like capture him. And then we cut to a kid practicing archery with some dudes. We don't know their names yet. One of the guys looks down, like, it's a bunch of dudes helping this kid practice his archery. He kind of sucks at archery. The father is watching, And then we cut to like some women and kids knitting inside somewhere. One of the girls is constantly looking around. We find out that's Arya later. Is that how you pronounce it? Arya? Arya? Arya.
Arya, yes.
Okay. And then we go back outside to archery practice. The kid still sucks. He's like, his arrows are just flying just far away from the bullseye. And then Arya comes out and shoots like a perfect bullseye from behind him, which is pretty. That arrow goes like right by his head. So could have killed him. Shit, I lost my spot. And then an old guy.
I like this setup.
Let's get through a few more scenes and then. Okay, so an old guy tells Sean Bean that they've captured a Night Watch deserter. It's, the doofy guy. Sean leaves, tells his wife to bring Bran along. He's like, make sure Bran watches. And then we don't know what's going to happen. We can like safely assume he's probably going to like kill the deserter. The doofy guy is led to the execution spot. He tells Sean that he saw White Walkers. And you feel bad for him. Doofy guy says some final words. And then Sean couldn't just be like, I don't know. I'm calling him Sean. His name's Ned. But Sean Bean is the actor. So that's how I'm going to refer to him as. I'm assuming he dies at some point, too. So, because Sean Bean literally dies in everything he's in. Okay. Oh man, I had a whole bit for this, but anyway, okay. Doofy guy is like, I saw White Walkers. That's why I had to run away and tell you guys. I'm not like deserting. I'm kind of just like telling you White Walkers are here. And Sean's like, I don't give a shit, dude. You're a piece of shit and you always will be. And then he cuts his head off. He's bound by oath. It's kind of like a shitty rule, I guess. It's like, I don't know. He has to kill him by like technicality. It's like that like swimming thing that happened recently where the kid started celebrating early and so he was disqualified. Yep. Remember that?
Oh, I remember that. Poor guy.
It's like, they were just like bound to some rules, but it's like, you could also just let him go. Anyway, Sean goes and talks to Bran. People watching I don't know. It's such an obscure reference. Look it up. Sean talks to Bran afterwards. Bran asks if it's true that he saw the White Walkers. Sean says they haven't been seen for like thousands of years. And he's basically like, that guy was crazy. He was a piece of shit and he always will be. He says that to Bran. And then Sean and some men ride into a nearby, I guess it's a nearby forest. I don't know how far away it is. I don't even know why they go here, but they find like an eviscerated elk. Do you guys know why they just go here, or is it just they just?
I don't know. They're just traveling by foot, so they're probably just walking through the path. And it takes them there,
checking stuff out. So they find like a gutted elk. Basically, it's like guts are everywhere. One of the guys is like, it was a mountain lion. And Sean was like, there aren't mountain lions in these woods, dumbass. And they walk further and come across a giant dead direwolf. So I guess immediately when you see the elk, you're like, oh, it was the zombie things again. But in this case, it was the direwolf, I guess. And it has like 5 pups. Sean wants to kill them, but Bran is there and everyone's like, oh, we should keep them. They're cute. Let's keep them. There's one for each of us. And so, I don't know, Sean just lets him keep the wolves. And we find out this is where we find out Jon Snow is, he's like the bastard. They keep calling him the bastard. So but he finds like an albino one and they're like, it's a runt just like you. Which is like unnecessarily mean,
I think this something that stands out to me as it's just interesting every time I hear it is how much bastard is used as an almost formal or maybe informal title. They're not just like calling him a name. That is his title. Not officially. I'm not saying they're like, here's Jon Snow,
bastard, of the Starks. But,
if his name was like on if he was in like a reality TV show, it would say like Jon Snow, and then under that it would be like bastard as his like occupation.
Yes. Yes. Yeah. It I don't know. That intrigues me every single time. It feels like it comes from a different time.
It is interesting how like a lot of curse words have had like a kind of like a fall from grace, because like growing up there like a lot of curse words were just like you could not say them, and like bastard was one of them, and then like shit and bitch. I don't want to say them all. I just did. But it seems like those are like super okay now, like to the point where they say those in like TV shows now and stuff. I guess TV's not a thing anymore, but anyway. Jojo.
I like the beginning of that where we were introduced to the brothers, and they're watching Bran shoot the arrows. It sets up a nice little character interaction between the brothers and how they're older picking on the younger. It's typical, but then you have like the father-mother dynamic watching above, very nurturing, and his dad is sticking up for him. He's like, well, who out of the age of 10 was a professional marksman? And so they give him like, his dad is very, I don't know, what's the word? Not nurturing, but very practical about handling this situation. Because he could be like, oh, you're terrible, you suck, you should just quit. But he's like, just take a step back, take a breath, and then refocus and do it again. And so he's taking aim, and then you have these inner segments, these cuts back and forth between the brothers, and then Arya and Sansa, who they're doing their thing. They're like knitting something. So you get a little descriptive element of like Sansa's like praised for her work, and Arya's just sitting there looking frustrated. And then when you go back to the brothers and Bran is about to take his shot, then all of a sudden you see that arrow flying, and camera turns and it's Arya, and then he chases after her. So there's a little play, a little beautiful character interaction happening there, and I love that. Into the point where they're like, okay, well now we have to take care of the deserter, and then you get like these nice views, these like cinematic views of the land with the setup. So the landscapes, So at the beginning you had the wall, but now you have this contrasting like rolling hill, and it's very green and lush, and it's a little bit more welcoming than the starch nature of that snowy, desolate land that they were in. And I see.
It does seem like a nice really place to get executed in like a.
It would be better than
course, basically. I'd be down for that. I'd be down.
Just right on the golf course, It was just, and it's Ned Stark just literally, or not literally, but he really did a hole in one. If that was like executing was a skill, it was just like wham, clean, just like one swipe. He's
done this before for sure.
Yeah, he's well practiced with his sword. But then he talks to Bran, and it's just like there's more nurturing. There's more you're getting a feel for he really cares. He wants, even though he did a thing, he talks to Bran. He's like, the person who passes the sentence has got to swing the sword. He's teaching about responsibility and that kind of stuff. And then they run into the stag and the wolf, and I don't know, the 5 pups that are being passed to each of the different children. That seems symbolic, and you get an intro of Theon Greyjoy, who is there, and he's just picking on Jon. He's like, oh, you're the bastard, oh, that one's for you, you're the runt of the litter. So I think that was all I had.
Deborah, can I just say I'm so glad that you're recording us. You have a lot of observations, and I really appreciate them.
Oh, well, thank you. I'm trying.
Yeah.
I, on the other hand, already forgot what I even said.
Same.
All right. Okay. Continuing. So after the wolf scene, Now we're in King's Landing. Bells are ringing, and some old guy has died. We're in like a funeral. There's like ninjas with backboards strapped to their heads walking around him. What are those guys? I don't know what those are. They're like monks or something, and they look like ninjas. And then up in the rafters, Megan Fox is watching, and what's her name? Evelyn.
Circe? Okay.
Oh,
okay. We're at King's Landing now. You're right. Okay, yes. I was confused about the ninja stuff. All right.
If you go back, they have ninja masks and they have backboards strapped to the back of their head. All right, and then Homelander approaches Jamie. I'm going to call him Homelander. Homelander talks to Megan Fox up in the rafters while they're looking down on this dead dude with the ninjas. They're Lannisters, and they're basically... they're talking about, like, what if the king finds out about something, blah, blah. The dead guy knew, but he's dead now. And so they're keeping some kind of secret, basically. We don't know what yet. All we know is Homelander he looks like a bad guy. I don't know. These people don't look like good guys. That's all I'll say. Okay, back in Winterfell. Sean and his wife talk near a pond. Sean is polishing his sword, not a euphemism. And she informs him that John Aaron is dead.
Yes.
Yeah, so that was the dead guy with the ninjas. Apparently he was like a father to Sean. And then she also tells... I didn't know his wife's name for a very long time, but Catelyn?
Yes, Catelyn.
She also tells him the king and queen are riding for Winterfell. And then this is the first time I learned that Sean's name is Ned. But I'm still going to call him Sean. Okay, everyone is preparing for their arrival. The Stark brother and Jon Snow hang out shirtless in a dramatically lit butchery. Is that what you call butcher? They're in like the place where they chop up meat, and they're taking turns getting shaved. Very dramatically lit. Yes. Almost to the point, I wish they didn't shave them, because when we see Jon Snow next, I didn't know it was him. Like, I had to, like, rewind a few times.
Oh.
When he's out in the...
Was he...
When he's out, like, practicing his sword during the... We'll get there in a second. Okay, so little Bran, he's like this little like monkey kid. He was the kid that's like bad at archery. He likes to run around and climb up stuff. And he's hanging out on top of one of the buildings. He sees the arrival of the king. He climbs down from a pretty high, like impressively high stone wall. And then he tells his mom he sees the king coming, and she just yells at him. She's like, don't climb, blah blah blah. The king arrives. The girl... Arya. Arya from earlier watches them come in. Anakin Skywalker comes in. Is the Joffrey. He's Anakin Skywalker. A dude with a cat helmet is there. Is that guy significant in any way, or is it just like a cool... Dude had like a Jaguar helmet.
Oh, yes. That is the Hound. He's the guard of Joffrey, Prince Joffrey.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Cool helmet. Everyone in Winterfell, they're just like welcoming their arrival. Anakin Skywalker creepily smiles at a redhead, who we later find out is Sansa. I couldn't think of a good name for Sansa, so redhead.
Yes.
Finally, the king arrives and everyone
Jean Grey.
Jean Grey, I guess.
Yeah.
Oh, is she actually Jean Grey though? In like,
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, I knew she looked familiar. In the bad one though.
Mm-hmm.
So the king arrives and everyone kneels, including Ned. The king is the dad from the sitcom Still Standing.
Yes.
That's such an obscure reference. Like that, it was such a short run sitcom.
I'm glad you did that though. I'm glad you.
That's what I knew him from. And he was really good in that too. for those that don't know, it's like a Everybody Loves Raymond style sitcom. It's like, I don't know.
King of Queens-ish.
Yeah.
Except he uses an American accent in that show, and now he's just using his regular accent, which is modified a little bit.
Oh.
Yeah.
Did not know that. I thought he was American.
Yeah. No.
So they both
really
laugh. Still standing dad calls Ned fat. It's like as a joke. Ned really looks like offended for a second, though. It's he's like, what did you just say? Anyway, Homelander and Megan Fox are there too, and also they say it's taken them like a month to get there, so let that sink in. I don't know. It happens in a second in the show, but they've been riding for a whole month.
Yes.
Thank God for planes or whatever. And then Arya asks Jean Grey where the imp is. Okay. Robert and Ned walk and talk. He wants Ned to go. They're like underground somewhere. I don't know. This is later. And he basically like asks Ned to come back to King's Landing and be his like helper. I don't know what his title would be. He just wants him to come back.
He wants him to be. Oh wait, yeah. I guess he doesn't ask him to. Yeah, you're right.
He's like, I just need a friend, like someone I can trust to come and like, I don't know. Tyrion is getting his feet washed by a naked. Well, he's not getting his feet washed, but that's what I said.
Okay.
And then they're messing around and talking about the two Lannister brothers. Homelander walks in. He's the pretty brother, and Tyrion is the imp. And Homelander's just like, we're having dinner later, don't leave me alone. And just to like speed this process up, you gross little guy, like he lets in more hoes. It's a good brother. Yes. He's a good brother. Homelander, turns out Homelander, good guy. Okay,
decent guy.
Ned and Rob,
not a bad guy.
Ned and Rob are still like talking in that tunnel area. They're in front of like a woman's grave. It's Ned's sister, Sean Bean's sister in real life. She's dead. I'm just kidding. Ned says the Targaryens are gone, and then Rob, the still standing guy, is just like, no, they aren't, dumbass. And then, yeah. What do you guys have anything to say about that section?
Yes, I have two things. The first is watching this show. It is striking to me, this environment that they live in, and I'm talking like the government. When everybody kneels as the royal family arrives, in the back of my head, I'm thinking, is someone gonna die if they don't? Like, I feel like I'm constantly looking for someone to slip up in an extremely small way and be executed as a result. And I'm just trying to imagine putting myself in an environment like that, where the smallest slight, could lead to your death. That like really weighs heavy on me as I watch this show. It's such a different environment than the that I live in real life, and I find it really scary. But I guess you just get used to it after a while.
Well, I will say, it is. It seems like, like that is in the back of your head. But it also, for now, I'm sure things get worse later in the show. But for now, it just seems like everyone's pretty nice. You know, like other than him, like cutting off that guy's head. They're all like the kid is pretty chill. He's making like fat jokes. Ned's a little more serious, but he's still like he's a good dad. He looks after his kids. He lets them keep the dogs and stuff. Everyone, even though it's like a dark reality, a lot of death, a lot of gore already. It seems pretty chill, but I know things get messy soon. Like
it feels chill. I'm not just saying this based on what I've seen in the future. I remember feeling this way the first time I ever even
saw this episode. Because it feels chill on the king's order. Like, if the king is chill, environment is chill. And everybody seems to, like, wait for signals from the king before they all kind of let loose. You know? So it...
Oh, that is
feels,
true, yeah.
I don't know. Yeah. The other thing I want to the scene with Tyrion, where the woman is washing his feet. That scene popped up, and I was like, oh, here we go. First instance of nudity. And just literally the second that woman stood up, my phone decided that was the perfect time to give me a big alert that I had 10% battery left, and it completely covered the screen. No.
You were watching this on your phone?
I was. I'm a busy person. I have things to do.
Yeah. Yeah, I think
my contribution.
Yeah, I think you have some very good points. Like, it feels the dialogue at this point, the setup and the interactions between the characters is very grounded, very real. Even you have the points where they're like picking on each other. You know, he's like, "Oh, well, you're the runt of the litter," or you know, you missed your bullseye," or "You look fat," you know. And then Ned Stark just kind of eyes him up and down, like, "Well, look who's talking," kind of thing. I like that. And then you have this nice little point that you're making with the dynamics between the king. They are kind of waiting for him to cue them in regards to what their interactions should be. But I also really appreciate the gradient that's happening of color. You know, despite the dialogue and everything now, we go from this white from the wall to this bluish kind of green palette, and then we jump to King's Landing, which is orange and warm. And funny enough, David said something about them, like they feel like the villains, and they feel villainish, kind of, but it's a very warm, welcoming environment in relation to what we had experienced. And by the time we get to, you know, the king arriving, you jump back into that, or you jump back into Winterfell, so it feels kind of muted. But I love the score that hits whenever Brandon is climbing down the tower. I think it's called The King's Arrival, but that particular piece just feels so appropriate and so poignant when it comes to picking out why Game of Thrones works on all levels, because even the score itself, like, is just memorable and powerful. It's like boom, jump, boom, 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 and I love that feel. But yeah, I think that's pretty much my notes right there.
Okay, let's continue. All right, yeah. So we've just seen Ned and Robb crying in front of the grave. Ned's like, the Targaryens are gone, and Robb's like, no, they're not, dumbass. And then we immediately cut to Daenerys. She's hanging out in her room, and her brother Andy Dick comes in and gives her a wedding dress. Then he's like, let me see your boobs, and like takes her clothes off and grabs her boobs. And she just
I love the brother.
She kind of just like stands there, and she's like a robot. She just like looks into the distance. Andy Dick is like, this is like my reign begins today, and then leaves. So another.
I called the.
Go ahead.
I called the brother Draco Malfoy.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I would think Anakin Skywalker is the Draco.
But he's a Draco to me because he's kind of a brat. He's like, he wants to have power, but Anakin did have power. I don't know. This guy, at least so far in the show, just this episode, he just comes across as a brat to me.
Well, to me, he's Andy Dick, and he says something like, my reign begins today, and then he leaves, and then Daenerys steps into the hot tub, and a lady's like, it's much too hot. blah, blah, like, don't get in there. And Daenerys is like, whatever. She doesn't say anything. She just, like, walks in it like a robot and continues to look off into the... She doesn't say much. She doesn't say anything, actually. All right, Daenerys... oh, wait, whoops. Daenerys, Andy Dick, and Gimli await the arrival of Khal Drogo and his men in the next scene.
Yes.
Andy Dick explains to Daenerys that Khal is like a badass who's never lost a fight. He's like, look how long his hair is. It's never been cut off. That means he's never lost a fight. And then she is supposedly, she's telling Daenerys like she's going to marry him or something. And then she walks towards Khal Drogo like a robot. Khal looks at her and then rides away. And then Andy Dick is like, oh shit, does he not like her? And Gimli's like, if he didn't like her, we'd know. Or implying that he would kill them all or something. I don't know. All right, in the next scene, we basically find out that Andy Dick doesn't really care about Daenerys because she's like, I don't really want to marry that guy. And Andy Dick is like, whatever, like, you have to marry him so we can get their army and so we can ride back home and take it back. He wants to become king. And they don't say... I put this together kind of like after the episode, but are they talking about King's Landing? Like, is he planning on invading King's Landing, basically?
Yes, that's the ultimate goal.
Okay. So he basically just wants to, be the king or whatever. And that's that. So we're back in Winterfell. Actually, do you guys have anything to say about those 3 scenes? Wasn't a lot.
I just had to say that the woman who plays Daenerys, phenomenal actress. She's killing it. The looks in her eyes are haunting. Watch that scene. Like, I don't know if the writers, or the directors or what have you were going for she otherwise had an okay life. I don't think they were, as I say this out loud. But she's just experiencing a lot of, like, fear, trepidation about what's to come. But she's so good at acting that what I see is a lifetime of trauma. A lifetime of, like, freeze responses. Just big ups to her. Good job.
Yeah, it almost feels like she's gone through so much trauma that she's in the state of processing to where she's almost unresponsive, and not that she is dead inside, but she just doesn't know how to cope with the things, and so she's not trying at this point.
Yeah.
Her eyes are kind of lifeless in that way. Yeah, even when she's walking into the hot water, she's just like straight up doing the action, no emotion, nothing, And the lady's like, "Oh no, it's way too hot."
Yeah,
I think
that is a good. There was when she is going into the hot water, there is like a very subtle like bit of acting there where you can tell she kind of does feel the pain, but she's still like she's not going to show that she's feeling it. Still, there's like a very subtle thing she does that's hard to describe. Yeah,
that's cool. I have to go back and watch that because I don't like that scene specifically for the brothers' interactions with her. It just feels so gross. and then what he tells her in regards to what he would allow and how he's going to take over the kingdom and what he would do in order to get his kingdom is just so vile, and you just feel bad for her at that point.
Dude, imagine having to put up with this guy as your brother.
No.
Yeah, because
God.
he is kind of he seems kind of like an idiot or something. He is like an Andy Dick type of guy, but then he also has all this power over her, so she has to deal with this like probably annoying person who's also like harmful.
I'm just imagining him. You get the impression that he gives me the impression of someone who like tries to start fights, then he walks away and he's like,
Yeah, I did. They were so scared of me. Weren't they scared of me? Yeah.
I got my 7 bodyguards to take care of him or whatever, but I did it.
My father would take it.
All right.
Malfoy, man.
How many scenes are there? All right, we're about halfway. Okay. Back in Winterfell, Sansa is getting her hair done by her mom, Kat, and she's basically just like talking about how she wants to marry Anakin, and she's like urging Kat to like talk Ned into taking the king's offer so they can go to King's Landing and so she can marry Joffrey. And that's what that scene's about. And then it's nighttime and the dinner festival thing is happening. It's a large gathering. Megan Fox is sitting with Kat. They're kind of just watching, and Robb is dancing with a random woman and like kisses her. Megan Fox doesn't seem to care. And then we cut to outside. Jon Snow is just like practicing his sword stuff. That's what I wrote. His uncle rides in and greets him. Uncle Benjen, I think was his name.
Yes.
I didn't have a good name, a funny name for him. It's just Uncle Benjen. Jon asks him to talk to Ned into letting him in to join the Wall people, the Night Watch. And,
yes.
And Benjen's like, that's not a... I forget what he says. Is he like, that's not a good idea or something? But I guess I will. And then he walks away. Doesn't run away. He rides away. And then Tyrion enters and basically is like, you're a bastard. And Jon's like, no, I'm not. And Tyrion's like, you should never forget that. Like, wear it as your armor. Yeah, he's just giving him like good advice. And then he walks away. And then back in the hall, Benjen, a lot of stuff happens here. It's just like a montage of like showing us what the characters are doing. So back in the hall, Benjen talks to Ned about the boy he beheaded earlier. And he's like, he's mentioned White Walkers, but he's probably crazy. Megan Fox talks to Sansa and asks her some like personal questions. And then tells her mom that she would do well in King's Landing. Homelander talks to Ned. There's probably some good cinematography going on here where Homelander kind of like gets really close to Ned, suggests he fights in a tournament, but he's very like condescending about it. He seems very threatening, and the way he's like positioned, he's very big. We talked about this in another thing, but he's very big in the camera. Ned seems very small, and it seems like he's trying to like intimidate Ned or something.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And then Ned's just like, no, or whatever, I don't do fake fights or something like that. And then Arya throws some food at Sansa's face.
Yes, yeah.
So we're just getting a look into like each of their personalities basically.
Yeah, I like these interactions that are occurring because up until this point we haven't had really this dynamic shifting back and forth. Like with what Kit said in terms of Robert cueing everyone, he even gestures to Ned to stand up, and then that's when everybody rises. And everybody in relation to these people, the Queen, the King, the other knights, is kind of falling in line up until the point that we see Tyrion go up to Jon Snow, who's practicing with his sword and beating the crap out of this wooden pole, right? And then Tyrion prefaces to him like, "Oh, you're a bastard. You know, you should just embrace it." Like, what kind of balls does this guy have on him? Be talking to this prospective warrior soldier with his sword in hand, and he's like, "What do you know about being a bastard?" And he turns to him and he's like, "Oh, all dwarves are bastards in their father's eyes." It's this back and forth in the dialogue that establishes the character dynamic, but also the feel for what we're going to experience throughout the rest of the series, where balance and power shifts, and you have these individuals who are having to be clever. I'm a little more clever than you, so let me say this one thing in regards to what you're saying, or let me do this in regards to your actions to kind of pivot over you. And even with Ned Stark and Jaime, I love that interaction because the dialogue itself, like Jaime is this. He's known as the swordsman. He's the King's Guard, and Ned Stark, he's a warrior. He's been in the war. He's fought with Robert. He helped him win. And so they go up to each other, and Jaime throws this little, repartee, this sort of raconteur kind of verbiage to him, like, oh, you should be in a tournament. And he's like, no, I don't want to. He's like, oh, are you too old? And Ned Stark says, no, it's because when I fight a man, I don't want him to know what I can do. And at that point, Jaime just bows to him, figuratively. He's like, well said, because they're going back and forth. They're sparring. It's a verbal spar. And I love, because it's the one time Ned gets over on Jaime with his words. Because the Lannisters and all the other characters, they're all just so clever. They have to have that little one-up on each other.
Yeah, in that particular scene, it's almost like he's trying to bully him, because he walks up right in his face, and he does that thing where where Ned kind of turns his head and looks to the side, but Jaime's eyes follow his eyes, He makes it very obvious that he's still looking into his eyes or whatever. It's a very it's one of those if you watch those interrogation videos, whatever, I don't know what I'm gonna say, but
yeah, no, you're right. Do they even blink at each other in that scene? Probably not. I gotta see if one of them blinks, because that's not that it's a sign of weakness, but in cinema the actors try to maintain strength through not blinking.
Damn, I hope they have some Visine close by. So Ned and his wife, it's after all the festivities, they're just lying in bed talking about what happened earlier, and then a guy comes in and gives Kat a note. I don't know, do we know this guy's name? He's a friar looking guy. I don't know.
Oh yes, Maester Lumen.
Okay, Maester Lumen. Wow, very Final Fantasy. He walks in, gives her a note. And the note basically says Jon Arryn was murdered by the Lannisters. She throws it in the fire. And now Ned takes... I'm obviously summarizing it. There's a lot more is said, but now Ned takes the king's request a little more seriously. Now he's he's okay, if he was actually murdered, then maybe Rob's life actually is in danger. So now he's seriously considering taking up his offer to be his helper. And then this is the cool cinematography bit I saw, because now there's a shot where Ned is in the foreground and he's thinking about it, and then in the background you have Kat on one side and Friar Tuck on the right side, and it's almost
yes,
he has the angel and demon sitting on his shoulder, and they're talking into his ear. And they're one of the I don't know what they're saying. I forget what they're saying, but Kat is saying why he should go, and then
he shouldn't.
Okay, Kat's saying why he shouldn't go, and Friar Tuck is saying why he should. I can't remember who's on what side, but
that's right though.
Okay. Anything? I know it's been one scene, but anything to say before we go to Dothraki land?
Kit, do you have anything to say?
No.
I know it's been
I don't think
scenes,
I do. I think you guys are doing
Yeah.
No, you're doing an excellent job.
This particular scene, I like. It was actually emphasized a little more that Kat didn't want Ned to go. because there's an interaction with Sansa and Kat that establishes like, Sansa's having her hair braided, and she says, we could be, he'll be the king, or he'll be the king's hand, he'll be the second most powerful man in the kingdom. And her mom is like, well, he'd have to leave home, he'd leave me, he'd leave Winterfell. And Sansa pleads with her mom. She's like, but it's all I ever wanted, I could be queen one day, please convince him to go, let him go. But even at the point where they're in the room and Maester Lumen comes in and he gives him the note, she's still like, she's berating Robert, and she's telling, Ned, I won't let that fat man take my husband away. And then she gets the note and she's like, it's her sister, and she doesn't want Ned to go with Robert because Jon Arryn, the husband of her sister, was killed, and the Lannisters apparently did it in the note, right? So she's like, we can't trust them. They shouldn't. We shouldn't be able to. You don't have to go. This would be bad. And then Maester Lumen comes in and he's like, well, your king, Robert, is calling you for duty. He's also your good friend, and you're the only one that he can trust. So, this puts up this motif in the story, in the narrative of Game of Thrones, that represents love versus duty. And I think the cinematography that you're seeing is the angels, respectively, on the shoulders, but Kat, in this respect, is representing the aspects of love, where Maester Luwin represents the aspects of duty. And that becomes a whole motif within not only just Ned Stark's character, but within the actions that the other characters are going to make. Becomes an important motif.
Hell yeah.
So yeah.
All right, let's continue. Yeah. Let's go a few more scenes, then we can talk about Burning Man. So we go to Dothraki land, and they're at Burning Man. Daenerys and Drogo are sitting next to each other. They're both robots. They're just silent, watching all the debauchery and like twerking happening around them. It's a big party, Burning Man, fire festival. They have like terrible sandwiches, but they're having fun. Andy Dick wants to know when he can start planning his invasion. That's all he cares about. But Gimli is like, dude, just chill. All right, chill for 5 days or something. And then a fight breaks out between two dudes, and a guy is killed. And apparently this is like a common occurrence at like Dothraki weddings or whatever, and Burning Man. So people start approaching them and giving them gifts, and one of them is a guy named Ser Jorah Mormon. He gives Khaleesi a bunch of books. He's a white dude, and he says he served under her father, and that's pretty much it. He walks away. But Daenerys is like, ooh, that guy is somewhat, he's white, so I'll care about it. I don't know. And then next, someone gives Daenerys dragon eggs, which is kind of cool. And then she just looks at him for a while. Then Drogo gets up and walks away. Daenerys follows, and he gives her a white horse. And she's like, oh, it's really pretty. And then Andy Dick is like, make him happy. And then they ride away. They ride away to another part of the beach where Drogo like slowly undresses her. She starts crying. It's kind of awkward. You feel bad for her, but she also starts asking him a few questions. He just keeps saying no, which is apparently the only word he knows how to say. We don't know. It seems like it's the only word he knows how to say. And then they totally bang on the beach. And that's Burning Man. Anything to say about Burning Man? It's a pretty fast scene.
Yes, I took notes throughout this episode of just things I wanted to remember.
Hell yeah.
And my notes for this scene are just the words Jason Momoa 50 times in a row.
Of course, that's funny.
Yes.
Jason Momoa. Jason Momoa.
Jason Momoa. I think he's at his best when he like doesn't say much.
Yeah.
I think like he fits this role like perfectly.
Yes, yeah. I'm sad you didn't call him Aquaman or something. That's why I was waiting.
I couldn't. Also, I kept thinking Jason Momoa. Also, I couldn't think of the. I don't know. Yeah.
Think of Aquaman. Also, Jorah Mormon. That's hilarious, dude. Jorah Mormon. All these names, I'm gonna have them replaced in my head by the end of this. I'm gonna be calling them. You know.
I hope people are following with all these. I have not called anyone their right name. I don't think.
No.
Right. There was something that I was wanting to touch on with this particular scene. Gosh, I can't remember the specifics, but it's cool to meet like the characters like Jorah. It's like, okay, well, these Dothraki aren't so isolated that they're not, opposed to having other people in their camp. So the inclusion of Westerosis is not common, but at the same time, it's not like frowned upon. And yeah, the dragon eggs, and I kind of lost my point, or my notes.
Yes. Like you were saying earlier, how it felt dark. You weren't sure if anyone was going to get killed in Winterfell at that one scene.
Yes.
Did you have any similar feelings to this scene? Because now we're seeing a different like kingdom style or whatever.
Oh,
everybody's partying.
I would say,
yeah,
absolutely, but it's so much more honest and with their violent that it almost didn't feel as threatening because like, well, I know they're going. Whereas, down to the king, there's this. Is somebody die? Is somebody going to get seriously punished? Is some kind of But what carries it for me is, again, I keep going back to the acting of Daenerys. She's a stranger in a strange land, not her culture, and it's terrifying. And so, I don't have a lot of anticipation and dread about the people around her in these scenes, but I do for her. She's haunting, man.
All right. Okay, why don't we have 2 more scenes to go. And then, okay, so we're back in Winterfell. Tyrion is super hungover, and Ned has decided to go to King's Landing, basically, but right now they're going on a boar hunt or something. And then we see Little Monkey Bran climbing a wall again, even though his mom told him not to. He climbs up on one of the watchtowers and he hears a struggling woman. And so he goes and checks it out. And surprise, surprise, it's Homelander and Megan Fox getting it on. And he kind of just stands there and watches for a while.
What? Aren't they brother and sister? That's weird.
Oh, right. Yeah, they are. I forgot. And then they see him watching. Wait, I'm almost done. They see him watching. Homelander grabs him and is like, "Don't worry, I'm not going to do anything. You're safe." And then he pushes him off the tower, and he falls like 1,000 feet. I don't know, 50 feet, 30 feet. He falls enough to like kill somebody basically, and then that's how the episode ends.
2,000 feet.
2,000 feet on his back.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, that's
I have a little bit of trivia.
Okay.
Ooh, okay.
Trivia time. I have to admit I did not fact check this, so perhaps I'm getting it wrong. But someone told me that the actress that played Cersei in this season is pregnant. And when you see her having sex in this final scene, for example, she's like completely bent over so you can't see her stomach. Every time she appears on screen, if you see like a full body shot of her wearing these like really heavy garments, fur coats, hides her stomach.
Oh, interesting.
Assuming that fact's correct. Little trivia.
Pretty cool.
I believe I've heard that before, and I don't know if she was dating one of the cast members at the time, or if it was, some other time. But there is a character that'll come up that apparently they were involved, and it created some tension in the behind the scenes.
Oh, so it's not Megan Fox. She's played by Lena Headey, who was also in 300. She was like the wife in 3. She's like other Megan Fox, basically. She was in.
What a title! What an honor.
Well, that is honestly, when a actress or actor like gets really popular like that, usually like 2 or 3 other actors/actresses pop up around that time that look similar. So in this case, I would say Lena Headey is definitely a Megan Fox type of person. And then there was also, I think it's Olivia Wilde, I want to say. All very Megan Fox looking. No one ever like refers to them this way, but I do. It's totally a thing. Okay, so that was the walkthrough. That's the end of the episode. What would you guys rate this episode out of 10?
9 out of 10 Jason Momoas.
Okay.
Yeah, it was fun. It had all the things. Had a bit of action. Had a bit of nudity. It had a bit of. There was some intrigue. Maybe not drama. I'm gonna give it an 8.9 out of 10.
Right on. I'm gonna go 7 out of 10. So, which seems probably like a little low, but I just want to start. I don't know I'm assuming there's like way better episodes to come. Like this is just the first one, and again, it's like the syllabus episode. It's just setting up a bunch of plot lines. There was a lot of characters they were just like introducing, getting us used to their personalities and stuff. They did it really well. Better than Stranger Things season 4 did. When shows have a lot of characters, sometimes it gets really sloppy when they introduce like 20 characters or whatever. But obviously this is one of the better shows ever made. This was also a tough one to take notes for, because like for the practice, I don't know if I'm breaking the fourth wall here. I am. It's my show. The other things we watched, the Black Mirror episode and the Love, Death, and Robots, those were like super easy to take notes for, because like each scene in those shows were like straight to the point and not that detail. I don't know. In this show, each scene had like a lot of detail in it. There was like multiple things going on per scene, and it was like really hard for me to like pinpoint like what do I write down, like how do I like summarize all 7 things that happened in the scene in like 2 sentences. So it took me like 3 hours to watch this episode. It took me a very long time to watch this 1 hour episode.
Yeah, that's a fair point, because, and that's why I kind of like went ahead and the first time we did the Black Mirror thing, I was like, I need to watch this multiple times just for me to decipher what it was that I wanted to focus on. Because with Game of Thrones, each scene, well, not each scene, but there are a lot of scenes that can even be broken down into 3-act structures. Now, there's one episode in particular that I'm waiting to get to, but it'll be for a while, that has that feel for me. And I just like, either you can watch the episode, you can pick apart the dialogue and the interactions, or you can take apart the sets and the costumes, and or you can pick apart the framing, cinematography, and staging, even the music. Like I said, I think his name is Ramin. I can't remember the composer's name, but he does a phenomenal job of scoring Game of Thrones, and the title itself with the opening of that, those rings or whatever those metal things are swirling around, and then you get the little visual of the little pop-up sort of looking castles. But the music itself, it just feels like it has this undertone of power and regalness to it that is mirroring all the fantastical elements that I particularly like in fantasy. The swinging
Ramin Djawadi, I think is his.
Djawadi, yes, yeah, that's right, yeah. So there's just so much to dissect. You're right, and I think at this point I'm trying to make it as easy as possible when I watch the show, and just say like, okay, today's dialogue, today's cinematography or whatever.
And yeah, I didn't mean that as a bad thing, by the way. I think that's just showing to I think that's just a testament to the writing and I guess the effort they put into making the show. They definitely took it, they went 2 steps above. I don't know. They took it 2 notches above what they could have done, and it probably could have still been a good show, but they still put in that extra effort to make it extra good, I guess. I don't know.
Oh yeah, definitely. I think that's why I'm so fascinated with the cinematography of this show in particular, is just because of that the passion that these creators had for it. And I was looking up stuff, and the director of photography had stated that he wanted to make it feel very, very cinematic, very filmic. And so the tone of the series has to have a little bit of this more expansive sort of visuals rather than most TV shows, where he even took some underlighting, and he would pinpoint the underlighting to create a focal effect so that the viewer could be led to those specific visuals that were important, And then with the whole digital camera thing that I was talking about, there's a very specific effect that the digital cameras, the Ari, Alexa will give in relation to creating sharp edges, but then creating softer edges in the background. And you can do that with a lot of digital cameras or film-based cameras, but it's the nuance of it, and then the fact that if you were to use a different camera, you would have to modify it in order to get that kind of artistic portraiture sort of illustration effect where you have a focal point, and these edges need to be sharp, and then we'll guide the viewer there, and then do that with lighting, and then put position here, and then there's so much information, but
right
yeah,
on.
I like that stuff.
All right, well, I guess we'll go into our outro now. I don't know how much of this I'm going to edit. I probably am going to be lazy with editing, and all these direction parts are probably going to make it into the episode, but that's fine. I don't erase my under sketches most of the time anyway in my drawings. All right, well, that was our first episode. Thanks for watching. Do we have a call to action? What should they comment about? What was your guys' favorite part of the episode? The viewers. Comment in the comments below what your favorite part is. Don't spoil any. Oh God. I'm not going to read the comments.
Don't spoil anything.
But I will.
Yeah, I'll read the comments.
Okay.
I'll read the comments, and then I can tell.
Jojo.
Oh God, yeah. I could tell you. Oh, this is what they said, David. But yeah, maybe we should do the whole house thing, because we picked houses. What I was Baratheon and Lannister and
yes.
What did you pick, Kit?
I picked the White Walkers.
Oh my God, you picked the White Walkers. Of course you would. Yeah, no, comment. You should do the comments.
Yeah, what house would you pick after this, specifically from the information we're given in this episode?
Yeah.
What are the houses? It's Lannister, Tyrion.
Mm-hmm.
No, I'm just kidding.
Tyrion?
Lannister, Stark,
Lannister, Stark, Baratheon.
Are those the only one? Oh, Baratheon.
Yeah.
White
and then of
Walkers
course you've got the Targaryens, which are Daenerys.
Oh,
Daenerys.
okay.
And you've got the Darth Raki.
Yeah,
I would say they count.
Got the Dothraki. And then those were, as we go through the story, we'll introduce more houses, and I guess people can pick, oh yeah, I want this one instead, or whatever. And then we can take bets, like who's gonna survive, who's gonna win, or whatever.
I don't know how to pick. I guess I would go Stark. If I came, like, non-joking answer, Stark. It seems like they're the best ones so far. So, okay. So next week we're watching episode 2. I don't know when this is going to be released. Probably Thursday. I don't know. This is going to be a work in progress. So,
okay.
And yeah. I think that's it for the episode. Bye. I don't know how to end stuff.
Bye.
We're probably going to have music here.